Networking for bookkeepers. Let's talk about it. My name is Zach Pasquarello. I have been running my bookkeeping business for 5 years. I make these videos. Honestly, I love teaching people. I love talking about my bookkeeping business. I started doing this 3 years ago on YouTube because I wanted to talk to somebody, and my friends and family did not want to hear about my bookkeeping business, understandably, because to other people, this stuff is boring. But to you and me, aspiring bookkeepers, experienced bookkeepers, this kind of stuff gets me fired up. I hope it gets you excited. If you are thinking about starting a bookkeeping business, or maybe you got started a couple weeks ago, or maybe you've been doing this for a couple years, anywhere you are in your journey, my hope is that these videos inspire you, educate you, motivate you to start and grow your own bookkeeping business. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about networking for bookkeepers. I have a ton of links in the description of this video. Check them all out. I've got a course. You can buy it if you want. You don't have to. I'll be honest with you. I make a ton of money just from bookkeeping. I've got 85 clients. So if you want to buy my resources, that's cool. If you don't want to, that's also cool. I just made them so that you have an option. You can choose to buy them and spend the money and learn quickly, or you can just watch all of my videos and honestly probably learn everything you need to know. Okay, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about why networking matters. You have an option. You can do cold calling. So why not just do cold calling instead of networking? Cold calling, cold DMing is a great option, but networking is so much more personal. And starting a bookkeeping business, getting bookkeeping clients is really all about relationships. Starting any business, honestly, is all about relationships. So yeah, you could maybe do cold calling, maybe get a couple clients, but in the grand scheme of things, long term, if you are really trying to grow your bookkeeping business, you are going to be so much more successful if you focus on building relationships with people instead of cold calling and just trying to push sales and get clients, because you're limited with your time. You might have time in the beginning. You might have time to do cold calls in the beginning. As your business grows, you're going to have less time. So you need to leverage your time and leverage your influence in a more strategic way. And building relationships is so much more strategic and growable, like scalable, instead of just cold calling. Just one output, one input, cold calling, just not scalable. And also, it's not a very good way of building trust. So the fastest way to build trust is to build relationships. The fastest way to build relationships is to network, is to build relationships, have conversations, get to know people. So there's 3 types of people that every bookkeeper should be trying to network with. First, business owners, obviously. Business owners are your potential clients, your ideal client. So you want to find, where do business owners meet? Maybe it's a local networking event for real estate investors. Maybe your local credit union hosts a quarterly event. I'm sure business owners work at that credit union, work with that bank, and so maybe they would be there. Other networking events, maybe your local Rotary Club, or your local, what are those places called? Like the small business places in your county. The name is escaping me right now, but there are a ton of local organizations that work with entrepreneurs. And so find out where business owners are and where they meet and who they network with, and try to put yourself in those networking environments. CPAs, accountants, fractional CFOs, these are also great people to network with because they have the same ideal client that you have. They are already doing tax prep and accounting work for local business owners. So you could not only network with your ideal client, the business owner, but you could also network with the CPA who is already working with your ideal client. So it's kind of an indirect networking tactic where you can network with the people who have the same client as you. And then referral partners, maybe not necessarily CPAs, but maybe business coach, attorney, maybe a banker or a loan officer. You can also try to network with these people because they service the same clients that you do. They could be referral partners. You could maybe some of your clients are looking for a business loan. So you could partner up with a loan officer who does business financing, business loans. You could refer your clients to them, and then they could refer their clients to you if they need updated and accurate financial reports. So let's talk about how to introduce yourself as a bookkeeper. It all really comes down to just try to be authentic. Just try to be yourself, but you want to come up with an elevator pitch. Come up with a 30-second, 60-second explanation of who you are and what you do and what you can offer potential clients. It might seem intimidating, or maybe it even might seem silly. Like, what am I going to do? Practice my explaining who I am? I know it sounds silly, but if you've never done it before, then it's going to be hard and you're not really going to know what to say or what to do, and it's going to feel awkward. So just practice. It can sound something like, hey, my name's Zach. Yeah, I'm a bookkeeper. I help business owners organize their QuickBooks. I basically help people get ready for taxes. I categorize transactions, I reconcile accounts, and I help people generate financial reports. I do everything up until the actual tax filing. And I only work with small business owners, and I specialize in QuickBooks Online. Like, that's kind of an easy 30-second explanation, because whenever you go to these networking events, everybody is there for the same reason. They're all there to meet people, to learn about people, and to hopefully drum up business. So you want to go there with the intention of selling yourself, and it doesn't have to be super salesy. It can be very simple. Just tell people who you are and what you do, and then talk with them like a normal person. Just have a regular conversation. So let's talk about now what to say and what not to say at networking events. Conversation starters. The best way to start a conversation is to ask questions. Ask them, so what do you do? So what brought you here? So how did you get involved in blah, blah, blah networking event? Are you a real estate investor? Is this your bank? Do you bank with this institution, or do you know somebody here? Ask questions. Come up with a short story that you could tell. That is a good story to tell. You don't have to be a stand-up comedian. You don't have to be the greatest storyteller ever. But before you go to a networking event, just think, like, what are 2 or 3 stories that I could share if I get put on the spot, if there's a lull in the conversation, if I feel like I need to keep the conversation going with a short story. So the best thing to do, if you're feeling uncomfortable, just ask questions. You can never go wrong. Ask questions, and then more importantly, listen. Just listen to what they say, and then just keep the conversation going. And then don't be afraid to move on, because this is a networking event. So you don't want to get caught talking to the same person the entire time. Don't talk to one person for an hour. Talk to one person for 5 or 10 minutes, and then move on. Move on to somebody else. We are trying to build relationships. So find people who you can relate to. Find people who seem to be similar to you. Like for me, I love going to the gym. I love working out. So I might find somebody who I could talk to about possibly going to the gym. Or I coach my son's football team. So maybe I'll try to find somebody who might be a possible youth football coach. These are very specific examples, but obviously if I found somebody who was a youth football coach, I would probably have a lot more in common with them than somebody who maybe was a youth gymnastics coach. You know what I'm saying? So I'll try to find somebody who I could be relatable to, and then just naturally just try to build relationships with these people. Big mistake to avoid: try not to be too salesy. Try not to talk too much. The best thing you can do is to have a good back and forth. You ask a question, they answer it. You tell a story, they ask a question, you answer it. Don't get caught talking too much, but also don't get caught not talking enough, because you want to go there and spread awareness of you and your business and your brand and your services. So whenever you go to a networking event, try to remember, why are you here? I know it might feel a little bit awkward. It might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you are here for a purpose. This is a business work event. I am here to build relationships and to tell people about my services. Let me just say, If the idea of going to a networking event scares the crap out of you and you don't want to do this, you don't have to. You don't have to go to networking events. You can absolutely do all of your social media marketing from the comfort of your own home, on your cell phone, in your living room, sitting on your couch, wearing your pajamas. You don't need to go to networking events. But I know there are also some people who don't love the idea of social media marketing, who don't love the idea of using the internet to promote their business. Maybe you want to remain somewhat anonymous. Maybe you have a full-time job and there's a conflict of interest and you can't put yourself out there on the internet. So networking events are a great way to get out, spend an evening, go to an event, maybe get some free food, maybe have a couple drinks, and meet new people. That's the whole goal. You're not going just to sell your services. You got to shift your mindset. You're going to actually build relationships. And it's really cool if you find a networking event that you like. It's really great to go consistently on a monthly basis because then you really start to build relationships. And just because the 2 or 3 people who you talk to might not necessarily hire you, if you make a good impression, if you seem like a trustworthy, likable, high integrity individual, and if they know that you're a bookkeeper or an accountant, they might be more willing to refer you to their friends. So every relationship, every networking opportunity is a chance to get a new client. One other thing that I want to mention, it doesn't necessarily need to be a traditional networking event. Recently, I have made it my goal everywhere I go. My goal is to try to meet one new person. And even if you're not a business owner, I think this is a great strategy, a great idea just to make new friends, meet new people. It's kind of weird. It's kind of funny because it almost feels awkward going up to a stranger and talking to them, but I feel like it doesn't have to be. I feel like it shouldn't be awkward to make new friends and to meet new people. I'm convinced most people wish that whenever we're in, you know what I mean? You go to the park, you go to your son's piano recital, or you go to church, or you go to any sporting event, any practice, any event. Everyone's just kind of standing around, not really talking to anybody, or they're just talking to like the person they came with or their spouse or the one friend who they already know at the event. I'm convinced that the majority of people at these events kind of wishes that they could meet somebody. Not everybody, but I'm convinced that some people here wish that they could meet a new friend or a new acquaintance, but everyone's scared to just break the ice and just to meet somebody and just to shake someone's hand and say, hey, my name's Zach. What's your name? Or, hey, does your daughter go to this preschool also? Or, hey, what brought you out to this Easter egg hunt? So my goal, I know this might be weird. I know this might sound silly, but truthfully, my goal, every time I go to a new event, whether it's an Easter egg hunt or church or whatever, my goal is to meet one new person. That's my goal. So it doesn't just have to be a networking event. It can be any event. Okay, let's talk about LinkedIn DMs versus real life conversations. Pros and cons. So real life conversations take a lot longer, a lot more work, a lot more time, a lot more awkward. LinkedIn DMs are easy, not awkward. Like I'll say anything to anybody over LinkedIn, but to actually walk up to somebody in person, a lot more intimidating. It takes a lot more time. You have to actually shake somebody's hand and find somebody. Like the amount of time it would take me to have a real life conversation at an actual networking event versus the number of LinkedIn DMs I could send in the same amount of time. I could probably send 100 LinkedIn DMs for every one conversation I have in real life. So pros and cons. LinkedIn, much faster, much easier. Networking events, much slower, much harder. But the LinkedIn DMs often get overlooked. I don't know about you, but my LinkedIn inbox is full of spam. So the likelihood that your DM will even get read is very low. And then if they do read it, the likelihood that it'll form any type of long-lasting relationship is probably 98% chance it's not going to happen. So it's easy, but very low success rate. Real life conversations, on the other hand, much more difficult, but much higher success rate of making a lasting impact. And so you can combine both of them. I think it's great to meet somebody in person. And then the key here, you want to be intentional whenever you're meeting somebody, whenever you're going to networking events. And so, because the idea is that we're building relationships, we're getting to know people, and we're potentially drumming up business. So, and with us being entrepreneurs, it's different. If I were an accountant at a company, I wouldn't care who goes to my daughter's Easter egg hunt, or I wouldn't care what other parents are at my son's football practice, because nobody else has any impact on my job. That's what's so different about entrepreneurs, because we are involved in the community. We are trying to network with other people in the community because our business is interconnected and related to so many other parts of the local economy and the local community. So that's the big difference between an entrepreneur trying to network and a W-2 employee who could not care less about any of the other adults in the room, just from a purely networking, work, growth perspective. So let's stay on track here. LinkedIn DMs versus real life conversations. You can use both of them. So what I was saying, you want to be intentional with your conversations. Get some form of follow-up in the real life conversation. So get a first name, last name, get a business card, get where do you work, get some information about them so that you could find, or even better yet, like pull out your phone and be like, hey, could we connect on LinkedIn real quick? Like, hey, great talking with you. I got to run, but can we connect on LinkedIn so that we could follow up with this conversation? So have the real life conversation and then pair that with a LinkedIn DM. That LinkedIn DM is going to be infinitely more valuable whenever it comes after a real life conversation. So be intentional with your in-person conversations so that you can follow up with a LinkedIn DM. Now, let's talk about how to follow up without feeling pushy. I generally recommend definitely get their contact information, follow up one time. If they express potential interest in your service, now's a great opportunity to send them an email. It's like, hey, I know we talked about bookkeeping. I know you just started your business last year. You're looking for help with your tax prep, your tax planning. I would love to schedule a 10-minute consultation. Here's my link. That's if they express interest in your services. I would send them a message, send them an email, follow up. And then if they actually express interest in your services, then and only then, I think it's okay to follow up monthly. If they express interest, if they don't express any interest in your services, I think the best way to follow up with a new connection is to engage with their posts on social media. It's so super simple. It's not invasive. It's not salesy, but I promise you it will work. I promise you they will see your comments and they will absolutely remember who you are, and you will be in their mind, top of mind, especially if you consistently follow up with their content. And it doesn't even have to be related to pushing your services. So here's the idea. You meet them, you connect with them, you create content about bookkeeping and QuickBooks, you sell your services through your social media marketing, but then you just comment on their posts. They make a post, you say, hey, wow, that looks so awesome. Like, keep up the great work. Like, hey, it was great meeting you last night. Can't wait to stay connected. Comment on their posts, and then they're going to see it. It might not be the first day. It might not be the second time. Might not even be 2 months into it, but eventually they're going to continue to see your comments, and then they're going to see your posts, and then they're going to go to your page, and then something's going to click. 2 months, 2 years down the road, they are eventually going to either hire you as their bookkeeper or they're going to refer you to somebody else. I promise you, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, but if you take these connections and if you engage with them and if you continuously create your own content, you're going to not seem pushy because you're just making content to the general population and then you're engaging with their content. Eventually, something's going to click. I don't know how it happens, but I promise you it's going to happen. So only if they express interest in your services should you follow up monthly. If they don't express interest, then don't follow up. So that's it, guys. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of confidence, a little bit of insight on how to go about that next networking event. Check out all the links in the description of my video. I'm doing a 52-week series every week in 2025. I'm talking about bookkeeping tips, QuickBooks tips, how to start and grow your own bookkeeping business. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.